What if I told you that the French Revolution could have achieved liberty, equality, and fraternity without the bloodshed of the guillotine? Imagine a France where King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette negotiated with the people, where the ideals of the revolution were realized through dialogue rather than the reign of terror. What would our world look like today? But first, let's understand how we got to that fateful July day in 1789. If you're enjoying what we're creating, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. It helps us out more than you can possibly imagine. Welcome to History Rewritten, where we explore pivotal moments in world history and imagine how things might have unfolded differently. I'm your host for today's episode. France in the late 18th century was a nation in crisis. The monarchy, led by King Louis XVI, was drowning in debt from costly wars, including their support of the American Revolution. Meanwhile, the rigid class system divided society into three estates: the clergy, the nobility, and everyone else. The common people who made up 98% of the population but had little political power. The Enlightenment philosophers like Rousseau and Voltaire had planted seeds of revolutionary ideas about natural rights and popular sovereignty. When poor harvests led to food shortages and economic collapse, these ideas began to sprout. The financial crisis forced Louis XVI to convene the Estates General in 1789 for the first time in over 150 years, a decision that would change everything. Louis XVI was an unlikely king. He was well-intentioned but indecisive, more interested in locksmithing than statecraft. His wife, Marie Antoinette, became a symbol of royal excess, though the infamous "let them eat cake" quote was likely never actually said by her. The monarchy's disconnect from the suffering of its people was becoming increasingly apparent. The economic situation was dire. France's involvement in the American Revolution had cost them dearly, adding to already massive debts. The tax system was antiquated and unfair, with the first and second estates largely exempt from taxation, while the third estate bore the burden. When Controller General Jacques Necker proposed financial reforms, he was dismissed, further inflaming tensions. On July 14, 1789, Parisians stormed the Bastille fortress, not knowing they were making history. This wasn't just about freeing prisoners, it was about seizing the symbols of royal authority. The revolution had begun. The National Assembly quickly drafted the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, enshrining liberty, equality, and fraternity as fundamental principles. But as the revolution radicalized, so did its methods. The October March on Versailles in 1789 brought the royal family back to Paris as virtual prisoners. The revolutionaries had made their point clear. The king would now rule under their watchful eyes. The Legislative Assembly was formed, but tensions continued to escalate. European monarchies, fearing the spread of revolutionary ideas, began to threaten France. This external pressure, combined with internal divisions, pushed the revolution toward radicalism. Enter Maximilien Robespierre, a lawyer from Arras who became the voice of the revolution's most extreme phase. He believed that terror was necessary to defend virtue, famously declaring that terror is nothing other than justice, prompt, severe, inflexible. His vision would define the coming years. The Committee of Public Safety, led by Robespierre, initiated the Reign of Terror from 1793 to 1794. During this period, an estimated 17,000 people were executed by guillotine, including King Louis XVI on January 21, 1793, and Marie Antoinette on October 16, 1793. The guillotine, ironically, was originally proposed as a more humane method of execution. The revolution's ideals inspired democratic movements worldwide, but at a tremendous human cost. The radical phase saw the de-Christianization of France, with Notre Dame being renamed the Temple of Reason. Even revolutionary leaders weren't safe, Danton, once a key figure, was executed for being too moderate. By 1799, the chaos had paved the way for Napoleon Bonaparte to seize power, transforming the Republic into an empire. The revolution that had promised to end absolutism had created a new form of it under Napoleon's rule. But what if things had unfolded differently? What if, instead of executing the king, the revolutionaries had negotiated with him? Imagine if Louis XVI had been willing to become a constitutional monarch, like his British counterpart. In this alternative timeline, the Third Estate might have worked with the monarchy to gradually implement reforms. The Declaration of Rights could still have been established, but without the radicalisation that led to the terror. Without the chaos and bloodshed, would Napoleon have emerged as a strong man to restore order? Perhaps Louis XVI, with better advisers, could have embraced gradual reform. Instead of dismissing Jacques Necker, he might have empowered him to implement financial changes. Rather than seeing the Third Estate's actions as rebellion, he could have viewed them as legitimate political expression. In this scenario, the Estates General might have evolved into a true representative body. The tennis court oath, where the Third Estate vowed not to disband until a constitution was established, could have been the foundation for a negotiated settlement rather than a revolutionary act. Without the radicalisation that came from executing the king, the revolution might have remained focused on institutional reform. The National Assembly could have continued its work on the constitution without the pressure of defending the revolution from its enemies. Perhaps in this peaceful revolution, the focus would have remained on building democratic institutions rather than on eliminating enemies. The revolution's ideals might have taken root more gradually but more permanently. Without the trauma of the terror, would the French people have been more receptive to democratic governance? In this scenario, the revolution might have served as a model for peaceful democratic transition rather than a warning about the dangers of radical change. The rights of man might have been established not through fear, but through consensus. The impact on Europe might have been even more profound. Instead of monarchies uniting against revolutionary France, they might have seen peaceful reform as a viable alternative to absolutism. The spread of democratic ideals could have been more gradual but more sustainable. The French Revolution showed us both the power and the peril of popular uprising. Its ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity continue to inspire movements for justice today. But its methods remind us that revolutions, however noble their goals, can easily devour their own children. Would a peaceful French Revolution have given us stronger democratic traditions and less authoritarian backlash? We'll never know. Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. But by examining these alternative paths, we better understand how precious and fragile democratic progress can be. History isn't just what happened, it's also what could have been. And in understanding both, we better appreciate the choices we face today. Thank you for listening to History Rewritten. Join us next time as we explore another pivotal moment where history might have taken a different turn.